Well, hello, Nina Whalley. Welcome to the Writing with Purpose podcast. It's fantastic to have you on today.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Nina, you are a forest school practitioner and you're the founder of Nurtured Through Nature, which
Yeah,
supports children, young people, and adults to spend time in nature and gain the benefits of connecting with the great outdoors.
yeah.
All super things that I love. Nina, if we could get started, what is a forest school practitioner and what is forest school?
Okay, so forest school is kind of in its simplest form, it's learning in nature. What I love about forest school is that it's all of the things that children love to do, and we tell them they can't do them. They're dangerous, they're going to hurt themselves. So, fires, tools, climbing trees, all of that we can do. Obviously, we make sure everything's safe. We do loads of risk assessments, and we don't just do risk assessments, we do like a risk benefit assessment as well. So for every risk that there is, we highlight what the benefits are, and the benefits always outweigh the risks. And it actually ends up being really safe because of all the measures we put in place. So it's well, yeah, it is for children to learn outdoors in nature, and that could be through games, through playing, through exploring, through being guided. It's just very free flow, and it's all about, there's some principles, but it's all about it being child led. So it's not about me going and saying we are doing this and this today. I am like the guide, the facilitator. So I'll turn up and I'll have some resources, and I'll have we do planning, but it's kind of like a rough plan. And then we let the children choose what they want to do. And they might want to do some of the activities, or they might just want to go off and do their own thing. It's in small groups, so no more than 12 ideally, so that you can create that safe space and form relationships with them, build up bonds. It's about it being over like a certain amount of time. So we normally say like around 12 weeks minimum is ideal, so that you can get to know the young person and they get to know you. You develop trust, and that's where doing things like fires, that's why it all becomes so safe, because you get to know one another and they respect you. They respect the environment that they're in. They respect the tools that they're using and the equipment that they're using. And it's all about progression. I said that was in the simplest form. There is a lot to it, but it's basically being in nature and just having fun and can't say it, thriving, enjoying themselves, connecting with the earth, connecting with other people. So it's absolutely amazing. I love it. So yeah, being the practitioner is about being that guide there, just to make sure that they're safe, make sure that they have fun, and yeah, to guide them.
Yeah, and you have a lot of fun while you're doing it by the sounds of
Yeah.
things.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much fun. And it's nice, like for myself and whichever staff I've got working with me, it's nice for us to do those things that we used to do as children and that we don't get time to do anymore. And to just switch off from like the everyday sort of stresses of life. And just become totally immersed in whatever you're doing and immersed in the environment. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really lovely.
Yeah, we sort of lose that as we get older a little bit. As you were
Mm,
talking there, I was having a few memories, excuse me, of my childhood, and there was a little park close to my parents in the village, and I remember climbing a tree and falling
mm.
out of that tree.
Yeah.
And I'd got a knitted jumper on, and I can't remember whether it was my mum that had knitted me the jumper or my grandma that had knitted me the jumper, because we were both very
Yeah.
good with the needles and cotton and thread as well. And I ripped this jumper, but I don't remember her being mad with me, because I think, like you were just saying, it's
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
and it's kind of what we're called to do, because ultimately we've developed from nature ourselves, haven't
Yeah.
we? That's always been our home, to be outside.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. My mum always used to say to, like, I've got a brother and a sister who are younger, and she always used to say, if you come home clean, like you've not had any fun, if you come home filthy, I know you've had a really good time, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And we do have to try and break down a few of those barriers actually with some of the parents, especially when you go into schools, because I think over the years we've wrapped children up in cotton wool, haven't we? And, we don't want them to get dirty, and we send them out in nice clothes, and we don't want to ruin them. Whereas I'm like, just send them in their old clothes. If they're a bit dirty, doesn't matter. If they've got a hole in the trousers already, that's fine, because
Yeah.
they can just fully get involved then, and they absolutely love it. The more dirty they go back at the end of the day, definitely the more fun they've had.
Yeah, that's a good sign. It's like a gauge.
Yeah, yeah,
A score out of 10 if you're absolutely
yeah.
covered in mud. Yeah, we went to somewhere the other day. You're probably aware of it. The Crocky Trail, which is
Oh, yes.
Cheshire
Yeah,
way, isn't it? So kind of Middle England for those listening or watching if they're unaware. And that's just mud. It's like a mud bath everywhere, but
yeah,
there's
it is.
swings and ropes and walks and that
Yeah,
sort of thing, isn't it? And it was really
yeah,
nice to see, even going up as far as probably mid-teens, that they were just filthy and just
yeah.
really having a good time out
Yeah,
there.
I love it
And
there because it's like the old school equipment, isn't it? It's not all this sort of mod. It's so different than any other kind of place that you would go with children. Like you say, because I've got two children who are 5 years apart, and there's loads of things for the youngest one, and the teenager, there's still things for him as well. And then you've got that beautiful walk all the way around, and yeah, it's lovely. But yeah,
yeah.
definitely, you definitely go there in your old clothes.
So you mentioned schools there. So is this the curriculum in the UK? Or because I
Um,
know that Neil's daughter and my partner Neil's daughter, she has forest school every so often in her school, and
yeah.
she's in year, I can't remember what year is it? So she's 9, 10. And I think it's part of their curriculum now. They have so many days per term.
Yeah, it just depends on the school, and it depends where they are as well. So what I find is that unfortunately a lot of the schools in Stoke-on-Trent don't tend to have forest school. It is getting better, and since I did my training a few years ago, there are more schools that are doing it, but there aren't enough. And you find that the schools like around where I live in Malcop, so like on the Cheshire border and the more rural schools, they tend to have forest schools, and a lot of the Staffordshire schools do. But yeah, it just purely depends on the school really and what their offer is. And a lot of schools tend, if they do it, they tend to give children a term of forest school, which in some ways I'm pleased about because at least they're getting something. And these were children who at some point were getting nothing at all. But I would love to see that every single child, and at the moment it is just primary schools really who do it. I'm trying to get it more into the high schools, especially with the children who are neurodivergent and the children who struggle in the classrooms, trying to get that in there more. But if every child could have half a day of forest school every single week, like I would be so happy, because it just helps to regulate everything. It makes them happy. It gets them off technology for a few hours. And there's loads of like scientific research to back it all up. But if you get a child outside in the morning doing forest school, when they go back in the afternoon, they're going to be more productive. You're going to get something out of them academically. But yeah, I could go on and on about it. But yeah, that's my dream, that every child will get forest school provision as part of their like curriculum offer. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll happen one day.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And there
Mm,
is a lot of research out there. I think normally it's geared towards adults, the benefits of getting outside. And certainly,
yeah,
whether I've listened to anything or read something, it's talking about adults. I don't know if they assume that the children get that just in
are
playtime
outside
after school
anyway.
or what. I
Yeah,
don't know. But you're right. Technology's got a lot to answer for in
yeah,
pulling people, kids,
yeah,
and younger teens away from actually just spending time outdoors. And I think if they do spend time
mm,
outdoors, there's this sort of bit more of a respect for the environment as well. We'd probably have less
yeah,
litter, and
yeah,
all those kind of things are sort of not necessarily what it's for, but probably
yeah,
what's the word I'm looking for? Additional benefits, peripheral
yeah,
benefits. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I'll be gunning for you for it and for
yes.
you. So what's your earliest memory of nature, and I guess why? What was sort of your relationship with nature as a child, and how did you develop wanting to do this as a career?
Well, I mean, it's all come about really randomly, and I would never in a million years, if you'd have asked me as a child or even in my 20s, like would I be doing? And when I'm in my 40s, I would never have thought this is what I'd be doing. But it just makes so much sense to me now. I feel like I've kind of gone full circle. So when I was younger, I was always outside, out with my brother, out with friends, just having loads of fun. Or, you know, you might even just be out in the garden when like my mum was doing the gardening and my dad was out there. So I've always loved being outside, much prefer, and I'm the same now. I mean, sun's out today and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm working out there because there's no way I want to sit in the house when it's a lovely day. I love trees. So I kind of read books about trees and listen to podcasts about trees and things like that. And one of the podcasts that I was listening to, it was asking you to think about like your earliest memory of a tree. And I just thought, gosh, how random's that? But then straight away it came to me, and it's a memory. And I must only have been about maybe 5. And I was at my auntie and uncle's house over in Baldwin's Gate, and they've got like a beautiful farm and a massive garden. And they've got this weeping willow, and we used to sit under it with my brother and with my cousins. You know, at that age, you sort of everything's make believe and really imaginative. And I just remember, although I can't really remember much else from that time in my life, I do remember that so clearly. And I think just feeling really like calm and content, and like I love weeping willows now to this day. So I think that is like probably my earliest memory of, you know, something quite distinctive in nature.
Yeah, I love trees as well. And
Mm.
who was on the podcast that you listened to?
Oh gosh, it was a couple of years ago when I listened to
Yeah,
this one in particular. Yeah, can't remember, sorry.
yeah. Now I just
But
wondered because I've recently spoken to Jackie Holder on the podcast. I think it was episodes 51 and 52. So it was the
yeah.
journaling series, but
Oh yeah.
she's big into trees as well. And she talks
Yeah.
about one that she's because she's in central London as well, so not
Oh
as much
right.
access to
Yeah.
the countryside, but there is a lot of green spaces. And she was
Yeah.
talking about a tree that she named Sanctuary that she used to
Oh.
go to all the
Oh.
time.
Yeah.
So and yeah, and there's a book which I think I've mentioned on the podcast a couple of times. I can't see where it is, but Holly Wharton, How If Trees Could Talk. And so you'd probably really enjoy that because it's about her journey going on
Yeah.
various hikes and sort of engaging with the trees basically. But you know,
Oh,
she talks a
lovely.
lot about nature and the environment and
Yeah.
that at the same time. I've been in a situation where I've had that prompt. And I can't really remember a tree as such. I can think
Yeah.
of trees now that I would navigate to because we've got, you know,
Yeah.
you in Malcop, I'm just down the road from you in Alsager. So
Yeah.
between us, we've got quite a lot of
Yeah.
wooded areas. And there's a beautiful tree near the National Trust,
Oh, yeah.
Little Morton Hall.
Yeah.
You know, the one that all the roots are spread
Oh, actually,
out.
within Little Morton Hall.
If you go past Little Morton Hall, so
All
you're going
right.
towards the canal,
Yeah.
it's in
Oh, I
maybe
don't know
the
if I've seen
second
that one.
field. It's
Yeah.
huge. It
Oh,
absolutely, I assume it might be an oak tree. I
yeah.
don't know. But yeah, anyway, we
Yeah.
digress.
Yeah. We
But
love
yes,
trees.
we love trees. Big lover of trees.
Mhm.
Yeah, I recently joined the Woodland Trust as well, and they give a
Oh,
little
have you?
swatch out for new members with the leaves of all different trees, so you can go and
Oh,
identify them and go out on a
oh,
walk and
lovely.
identify them.
That's nice.
Yeah, but it's just I joined when it was coming into autumn time, so
Oh,
the
yeah.
leaves were no more.
Yeah, when you can identify trees in the winter, that's when you're really good.
Can you do that?
Yeah, a few, but it's something I am learning. I've got loads of guides and things like that.
Yeah,
I know, like when you go out in nature, the idea is to not have your phone, but I do love to have my phone so that I can use the apps to help me identify. Because as I'm walking past, I'm like, oh, what's that? I've not seen that
yeah,
before. But yeah, I can identify some, but it is really hard in the winter when you haven't got the leaves.
yeah. It just helps with the shape a little bit more than when it's
Yeah,
there. So, do
yeah.
you do much foraging?
Foraging is something I've got into more recently. So I don't know if you've heard of Emma Cronin from Wild Pickle. She does loads of workshops. Yeah, you need to have a look at her website and her Instagram. She's so knowledgeable, and she's just amazing. I've learned so much from her. So I've been on like quite a few foraging walks, and now every time I go out, I just can't help but sort of have a look and think, oh, can I eat that, and what can I do with that? So I'm getting excited at the moment because it's coming up to the time when we'll be able to start like tapping at the birch trees and getting the sap off there. So it's like a natural sugar. So I did it last year, but I did it quite late, so I didn't really get much off. And then things like nettles when they are coming through, and the cleavers and dandelions. So yeah, I just love kind of making teas and infusions. And with the dandelions, I've done the drop scones, and it's all brilliant because you can do that with the children in the forest school when you're doing your fires and you're cooking. So yeah, I do. I am like really, I'm certainly no expert, but I'm fascinated by foraging, and I just think the whole idea of living off the earth, because I'm very much into trying to have as few processed things like going into my body, whether that's food or even like products on my skin and things like that. I just try and be as natural as possible where I can. So if I can go out and forage something and I know exactly where it's come from, and then I can go home and prepare it or cook it, then yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah. And do your
Mm.
children do that with you as a household, as a family?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yeah. Just like simple things like jam. But what I find amazing about foraging as well, and I've done it on a couple of the kind of forest school workshops, we've gone out and we've foraged like the blackberries, and we've come back and we've made jam, and the parents will go, like, they'll pick them, they'll join in, but there's no way they'll try them, they won't eat them. I'm like, that's okay. And then they have a taste and they love it. And there was one time where I had to send a family away with some bags because they were like, before we go home, we need to go foraging to collect some more so we can make some stuff when we get home. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And I find that a lot with forest school, when you get these children trying things that they say they don't like, and sometimes they might have tried them and they genuinely don't like them, or they've just not even tasted them, they've had one look and just thought, no, I don't like that. But you get them kind of with the friends and in this different environment, and they suddenly like these new things. So, and
Yeah.
it happens even with like my own children. So yeah, I do love that.
Yeah. There is something about eating something that's fresh from,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that
outside.
you've helped to prepare, and you know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really done much. We quite often go strawberry picking a couple of times a
Yeah,
year, which is fairly common, I suppose.
yeah.
But I did go down to Devon a couple of years ago with a friend. We did an introduction to ecotherapy,
Oh,
and there
right.
was two or three people on the course with us that was they really knew what they were doing as far as
Yeah,
the foraging was. And one
yeah,
night they went out, excuse me, and they came back with this huge bowl of leaves and
yeah.
flowers, and they made a salad out of it. And
Oh,
so many distinct but different tastes as well
yeah,
that I don't think
yeah.
you would normally think that, oh, you'll get so much of a flavour from a
No,
tiny, little plant leaf
yeah,
from the middle of the woods.
yeah, yeah. And it does. It tastes so much nicer when it's freshly picked.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. I'm starting to feel hungry now. So what aspects of nature would you say support well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, for you individually, but then also for the forest school and how you try to promote that?
Yeah, well, I think like one of the reasons I kind of got into forest school was because I used it to help me really. I'd gone through like a really difficult time. My mum died 13 years ago. And I also had like a child at the same time. I had my first baby. So I went through like a really difficult time, and I needed to find a way to feel better. And I did end up having to go on antidepressants, which I really didn't want to do. But at that time, like I just needed to. And then I needed to find a way of feeling better without relying on like medication for the rest of my life. And I think through doing the forest school, being outside, feeling the benefits of that, and then doing all of the different things that it entails, and realizing just how much I enjoyed it, how much better it made me feel, kind of use that now to help others as well. So something I absolutely love is forest bathing. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
you're familiar with forest
I
bathing.
have done a session of forest bathing, yeah, last
Yeah,
year, and I think it's one of those things that you're a little bit, there's a bit of trepidation to begin with because you're not sure what to
yeah,
expect, but
yeah,
the time flew by and I felt
yeah.
so relaxed, and I used it to help my writing, and that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I've always
because
liked
it does
trees,
help with
but
creativity.
yeah, definitely. But I've noticed that
Mm,
if I go into that environment, it flows a lot
yeah,
better. It's like a source that I
yeah,
can do turn on that creativity, as you just said, as
yeah,
you say.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I love forest bathing. I love just, being out on that mindful walk, switching off, not having your phone, not thinking about your to-do list and, all the stresses that are kind of going on back at home. And what I love about forest bathing as well is all the different elements that you can incorporate. So you can just literally go on a mindful walk if that's what you want to do. Or like I normally run some collaborations for the forest bathing sessions, and we combine it with, say, things like breath work, cold water immersion, meditation. And obviously, because it's all outside, under the trees, in the forest, in the woodland, wherever we are, all those greens and blues around us that make us feel calm and relaxed. It's just amazing. And then we have like a tea ceremony, so we all get together. I normally go and forage some pine needles in advance and make some pine needle tea. And the pine needles help you to feel relaxed. They release melatonin, which helps you to sleep. And it's just about getting like the group together and having a little chat and talking about, maybe what you got from the walk, what you noticed and how you feel. Some people like to go and do some yoga as part of it. So I just love being out in the forest and just being able to switch off from it all, really. And I love doing it in the groups. And, some people kind of keep themselves to themselves and totally get immersed, and others enjoy being with the group and being able to chat and kind of say, oh, have you noticed this and what's that? And you just get talking. I mean, that's when I end up talking about foraging loads, because I'm like, oh, did you know you could eat that? And do you know why holly leaves here have spikes on and up there they don't, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoy forest bathing. Yeah, I would probably say that's like my favourite thing, really, about being in nature and for mental well-being. What I do find really useful though is in the kind of from about this time of year onwards, when it's lighter at night, I've been running some workshops over the last couple of years, where they've been like a forest bathing session followed by a meditation or followed by breath work. And we come back and we do the meditation and we do the breath work, like literally under the trees, and we get the yoga mats out and we get the blankets out, and it's just really cozy and lovely. And you've got all the benefits of having those trees around you and all the fighting sides. And I find that people like having sort of 45 minutes to an hour of that after you've been forest bathing, because then you've got yourself in that nice place where you've switched off, you're nice and relaxed, you're open to kind of taking in all of those benefits. And they go away after 2 hours and they just say, like, they feel transformed. And then the next day they'll message and say, oh, I've had the nicest sleep. And it's so lovely. And all these things, obviously you can come and do them with me, you can do them with other people, but actually you can just incorporate it into your own life. It's for people who don't want to pay or can't afford to pay. I always say, just get out there and do it. It doesn't matter. I just love anything that's free that can help you. And there's obviously all the sort of apps and YouTube channels and things like that where you can get like your meditations and things like that. So yeah, and anything like that, I just think is so beneficial.
Yeah, I guess you could go out there and you could just sit and listen to the sounds of nature and just
Yeah,
be at one with that and be very
yeah,
present to everything that's around you. Or yeah, you could take you could take a phone and download a meditation or something like
yeah,
that kind of, has got additional music, or maybe somebody's
yeah,
guiding you through it.
yeah,
And any one of those things is going to help you to relax and just, calm
yeah,
your nervous
yeah.
system. Is it your sympathetic nervous system? Your
I always get mixed up with,
parasympathetic?
yeah,
Yeah.
for parasympathetic, I think it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you come back and you can think more rationally. Everything just seems that bit clearer. Things that might have been annoying you before because you've had a break from it, you realise actually, it doesn't need to consume your thoughts so
Yeah.
much.
I think as well for me, going outside is a way to um yes, there's the movement, so the whole movement of your body helps the movement of your
Yeah,
mind with your insight and clarity and fresh ideas and that
yeah,
sort of thing. But I also think that it helps to just sort of lift you up.
yeah.
There's just something about it that, I mean, I kind of, what I would say, I'm a recovering workaholic, that if there's work to do, I will just sit and get the work done.
Yeah,
Whereas now, sort of say, no, you force yourself to go outside and do
yeah,
something. So I was out for an hour yesterday. I needed to, you sell something on Vinted and that sort of thing. You
yeah.
go
Oh
and
yeah,
drop the parcels off and do a bit of
yeah,
shopping, and I dropped some stuff out of a charity shop as well. And because it was such a lovely day, I know it wasn't
yeah,
necessarily in the woods, but it was the middle of the day, so there wasn't really that many
Mm.
cars around or that many people
Yeah.
around. And just that in itself, that break from the
Yeah, and
technology and the
being in the
four
fresh
walls,
air. Yeah, it does do you
yeah,
good. I've done it before, like last year, I was really sort of mired and stressed this one day. And when I'm really mired and stressed, I crave being outside,
yeah,
which is great on a day like today when it's gorgeous, but in the middle of winter. But then, obviously you just wrap up and go out.
yeah.
But on this one day, I got such a big to-do list and I was feeling so overwhelmed. And it was only about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd already got a really bad headache, and I knew it was just like a stress headache. And I
Mm.
thought, all I want to do is just go and lie in my hammock because I get my hammock out and put it between the trees in my little like forest school. And that's all I wanted to do. But then I kept saying, I haven't got time. You've got so much to do. And I thought, you know what? If I can't spend 10 minutes in that hammock. So I went and got my hammock out, literally just had 10 minutes, probably put a guided meditation on. And when I finished, my headache had gone and I was far more productive because I could actually think clearly and I wasn't feeling as overwhelmed. And I have to remind myself of those times when I'm feeling like that it is so important.
Yeah,
So
at the
yeah,
time we think it's not going to help. It'll just
yeah,
plow through, but that's quite often
yeah,
the
it
worst thing that we
is.
can do. Oh, somebody
Yeah,
I remember hearing once, and I can't remember who said this, but I think it might have been a fitness, a PT, a personal trainer, and they said what you don't want to do is probably the thing that will help you the most. So
yeah,
whether it be a workout, whether it be go
yeah,
for a walk, whether it be have
yeah,
some
definitely.
fresh fruit instead of a chocolate bar,
Yeah,
something like
our
that.
body knows even if we don't.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So how you, I mean, we've mentioned about foraging, and you've mentioned that you yourself and with your family you want to eat natural
Mm.
ingredients. And how important would you say that we need to consider what we eat and drink and consume, from nature in the
Yeah.
context of our well-being?
Oh, I just think it's hugely important. And I think over the years, for various reasons, we've kind of forgotten how important it is. And I think we've actually got to a stage now where people just don't even realize how important it is. And they don't understand like the dangers and the risks of having all of this processed food and not getting like the healthy, nutritious foods that we need, like in terms of brain development and, obviously a lot of the processed foods are linked with cancer and things like that. But I just think because we live such fast-paced lives and we're dashing from here to there. Even I'm like guilty of this myself, and it is so important to me, and it is something that does stress me out because when I'm really busy and I haven't got time to do as much cooking as I would like to do, it really gets to me because I don't just enjoy the actual cooking. Like I love eating the nice food as well. So I will tend to batch cook if I know I'm going to be
Yeah.
like really busy and I haven't got time. But then sometimes I do just have to grab things on the go. And unfortunately, I've got two children as well. And as much as I've tried to raise them to have really healthy, non-processed foods, they're constantly surrounded by all of these temptations and friends
Yeah.
are allowed to have things. They actually say to me, like, you're so cruel, Mum, because you won't let us have processed foods. And I just think the world's gone mad when I'm a cruel mum because I won't let them have processed foods.
Yeah.
They do have processed foods because you can't avoid them. They're everywhere, aren't they? But I do limit them and I do make sure they have like a homemade tea, like virtually every night. They take a packed lunch of things that are healthy and they go mad because I won't let them take these Lunchables and things like that. But
Mm.
yeah, it's hard. I think because I do a lot of work with children and a lot of children who come from deprived families and they've just not got that education because these households have got so many issues going on that understanding about healthy food and being able to afford healthy food, survival is like the only thing really.
Yeah.
And I know that's not like the whole of society, but that's kind of like the society that I have the most involvement with, really. But yeah, I do think it's so important that we get back in touch with nature. And if we're not growing our own food, then, go and try and buy the best sort of quality that we can
Yeah.
afford. But it is hard because food is so expensive, isn't it, at the
It
moment?
is, it is. And I think, yeah, convenience and fast-paced life does have a lot to
Mm,
say for it. I mean, we've
yeah,
got things from the farm shop down the road here,
yeah,
just as far as having, for example, I know it's not the healthiest, but bacon,
mm,
cheese, and tomato on an
yeah,
oat cake. But when we
yeah,
get the bacon and the tomato from there, it's like we don't need as much food because it's packed
Yeah,
more with nutrition. It's
it
probably
is.
healthier source in terms of the animals that are being fed.
Yeah,
And then the tomatoes are just, the colour of them, the shape
yeah,
of them is just as you
yeah,
want a tomato to
yeah.
be.
It is so
Um,
much nicer, isn't it? And
yeah.
like you say, so much more nutritious. Like a lot of the soil that foods are grown in now, we're just not getting the
Mm,
levels of nutrition that we need, and our health is
yeah.
suffering.
It's on
Mm,
many levels, isn't it? Really.
yeah,
But I think, what you're doing with the forest school and you're getting out to children of that age, of the age
mm,
where, they're building positive habits.
yeah,
They might not remember certain things, but hopefully, what
yeah,
they've I was going to say studied really. It's not really studied, is it? But how they've the activities and things and what they've learned
yeah.
from the time at forest school will
Yeah.
hopefully carry on
It's
and
yeah, it stays with them. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
And even things like I love just teaching them how to make their own bread and their own butter. And it's so simple, but once they can do that, it's just a little snack. And I know it's not like the most healthy snack in the world, but it's something that they can do. Like my
mm,
7-year-old the other day, he made a little pizza and it was based on just like making his own bread and then putting some tomato on and some cheese. And it's 7 years old, I think, just to be able to prepare like a little meal. And I know it
yeah,
absolutely isn't like, the most nutritious meal in the world, but in terms of like not having loads of processed things in it, then, that's good. And once you can get them doing things like that they enjoy, they're more likely to then go and experiment and be interested in trying different things. So it's just sort of creating that interest with them, really, and that enthusiasm.
yeah, giving them the time and support to be able to start
Yeah,
something like that from scratch. And yeah, that's
yeah,
that's 7 years old is a great age to start developing those kind
yeah,
of skills.
yeah.
Yeah,
You can
have a
do
little
more than my
master chef
13 year
and
old.
yeah, pull them away from the technology. So what do you most love about where you live and Mother Nature?
Oh gosh, I mean, every time I talk about where I live, like I just absolutely love it. Because we moved to Mount Cop about 4.5 years ago now. It's just lovely because like we're in that semi-rural location. I'm completely surrounded by nature. I absolutely love like our home and where we live. I'm just looking out the kitchen window, actually watching a squirrel sat on the bird feeder. We've got
Oh,
pheasants, we've got a badger, we've got foxes, we've currently got a buzzard who's been here for about 2 months. We've got moles who are, making a right mess of the lawn and the field. But I'm just so many birds, just literally surrounded by nature, and I absolutely love it. And like we've got a gorgeous view out of the living room window, so the sunsets are just amazing. So I just absolutely love living here. But then you're not a million miles away from being able to get to, the shops and all the things that we need for life. So I feel like when I'm at home, I can switch off from everything. And I feel like I'm a million miles away from kind of civilization, even though I'm not. But then, you jump in the car and we've got everything that we need. So yeah,
yeah.
I really, really do love living here, and just all the nature is amazing. And even like just the things I can forage, like within my own garden, I absolutely love that, and all the trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell as you're talking about it, you're lighting up. Mount Cop, the area as well, because Mount Cop Castle is
Yeah.
there, isn't it? It's got
Yeah. So many
quite a lot of
gorgeous walks.
pagan history, hasn't it? And paganism is quite
Yeah.
linked to the natural world anyway, and a
Yeah.
lot of ancient rituals that
Yeah.
involve nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely like there's something about this area. I don't know much about ley lines, but apparently there's lots of like ley lines under here, and yeah, it's just such a lovely, special place. And
Yeah.
when you're here, and when you're driving in as well, I did it this morning, even though, done this drive 4.5 years, taking the children to and from school, but just coming back into Mount Cop and all the dry stone walls on all the
Yeah.
houses and just the little streets. And honestly, it's just amazing. And when friends and family come, they say, we just love driving over to you. It's just so, so gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, it is a
Mhm.
lovely area. We walked from Alsager to there once and it had
Oh,
snowed
yeah.
one day. I think it was
Oh,
about a 10-mile round trip. So it wasn't
was
too
it?
bad really, but it was tough
Yeah.
because the snow was deep and it was fresh and it was
Yeah.
cold.
Oh,
So by the
yeah.
time
And
we
then you've
got
got the
up to
hills as well.
yeah, and my hands were like this and we'd made a packed lunch as well. And
Yeah.
I could barely eat my sandwiches
Oh,
because my
no.
hands were
Couldn't
that
move your
cold. But
fingers.
But yeah, it is. It's a lovely area. So, so what tips, Nina, can you give to people that are listening or watching that, maybe they haven't got access to forest school, but what sort
Mm.
of tips can you give them to invite more nature into their lives?
I think I would just say any opportunity that you've got to be outside, do it. And whether that's just sitting in your garden, and I know not everybody has a garden, it is a privilege to have a garden, but any opportunity to get outside. And if you haven't got a garden, like go to a local park, but just get yourself out there in nature, get yourself moving. Like you say, that's the movement's really good. And get your phone away, like switch off from all of those stresses, because when you go out with that kind of mindset of I'm here for like a mental health walk rather than a physical walk, which is what forest bathing is. It's not about your steps and your calories and all that. It's about being out there, being mindful. You might only do a mile, but you might be out there for 2 hours, and then you're going to get several days of benefits of being out there. So for me, it's just about getting out there and just switching off from everything, whatever you think needs doing right now or needs your attention right now. The majority of the time it can wait. So
Mm.
think I'll deal with it when I get back. So yeah, I think just getting outside. If you've got children, doing anything with them that sort of encourages them to enjoy nature, whether that's going on a walk and doing like a little treasure hunt of, maybe do a little list of things that you can find, or oh gosh, I can't now think what the websites are, but there's so many sites out there where you can get like tree guides and leaf guides, and you can print them off and take them with you, and like bug hunts and things. Like children absolutely love bug hunting, and then you can talk to them as well about respecting the animals and not picking them up and being really gentle and all that sort of stuff, and having a look at the different places where they might hide, and just getting children used to being outside again. And like we
Mm.
said at the start, let them get dirty. Like just let them get dirty, let them get mud on the fingers. There's so many benefits, like all the microbes in the soils. It's really good for our health to get our hands dirty. So I think we just need to just go back to how we used to live years ago, really. Just be part of nature again.
Yeah. Don't
Mm.
see it as being us in society and the built up
Yeah,
cities and then the nature. I think that disconnect has got bigger
yeah,
over
it's
time.
massive now.
But yeah,
Yeah,
just getting back to our
yeah.
roots.
And not being, what I've realized as well is like not being scared about it, which sounds a bit bizarre, but I think some people think like they can get things wrong. So I'll have like some friends have messaged me and they're going, oh, I'm going to give this foraging go, and like they message me and you can tell they're really worried about different things, and I'm like, just get into it. And obviously with foraging, if you are going to be eating anything, you need to make sure you know exactly what it is that you're eating. So you can get different books where you can have a look at different ones to make sure. If it's something like a blackberry, it's a blackberry, but when it comes to mushrooms and things like that, you need to be really careful, and there's all different apps you can get to identify things. But I would say if you're foraging for mushrooms, I would advise you not to eat them, because you just don't know. But your
Yeah.
simple things like your nettles and your blackberries and all that sort of stuff, just go out and give these things a go. And there generally aren't many. You can't get things wrong. Like they're not right and wrong answers. It's what you get from it personally. And as long as you feel better when you come back, which I can guarantee, you won't go out on a walk or be out in nature and come back many times. Well, I don't think ever, and feel worse for it. I think you will always feel better. So yeah, just try and think of any ways really that you can just get yourself out there. Might just be doing a little bit of gardening, growing some herbs in your garden and things like that you can then use in your cooking, and just like creating a bit of an interest there. So yeah, so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, I agree. It's just putting your imagination into it a little bit, really, and thinking
Yeah,
what is it that
yeah,
you can do. We go out quite often on a Saturday, even if it's just for a walk somewhere.
yeah,
Greta's a little bit older now, but quite often we'll do the geocaching as well. We'll
yeah,
go and have
yeah,
a look for the geocaches, and she gets
yeah,
a few little trinkety things together, and we'll
yeah,
go and sign that we've got it and swap them over. And I'm
yeah.
always trying to point things out, as we're going along, and look at that and listen to the
Yeah, things
birds
that
and
you don't necessarily notice. Yeah,
yeah,
that's lovely.
yeah, and if you sort of keep them going. I mean, she can walk sort of 6, 7 miles sometimes, and
That's
there's a
brilliant.
lot of kids that
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even do that. So can be
No.
thankful that we can go out for a long time, and
Yeah,
she
they
doesn't
do it.
she does it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Brilliant.
it's making it interesting for them so they don't feel like they're on a walk. Because if you say we're going for a walk, they go, "Oh, I'm not going on a walk."
Yeah.
But then quite often I did that with a group of children who I worked with in Bentley, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going on a walk." And it was said, "Come on, we're just literally 20 minutes, and then we're coming back. We're going forage a few things to do some activities with them, then we'll be back." They didn't want to go back. They were like, "We
Yeah.
want to stay out here." I was like, "Well, we've got to go back now because we won't have time to do it." But once you get them out there and get them doing these things,
Yeah.
you love it.
Just getting them immersed and they're
Yeah,
hooked. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how can people contact you to find out about, how they can get involved in any of the
Yeah,
sessions, any of the courses, and what's next for you for the rest of the year?
yeah. Okay, so I've written them down because I've got a terrible memory. So I'm on Instagram, and that's nurtured underscribe through underscribe nature.co.uk. I'm on Facebook as Nurtured Through Nature. I'm on LinkedIn, and that's as Nina Nurtured Through Nature. And I'm on TikTok as well, Nurtured Through Nature One. I'm just developing my website at the moment, and that's nurturedthroughnature.co.uk, but it's not quite finished yet. So for the rest of the year, I'm actually doing a master's at the moment. So up until September, my life is pretty full with studying, but I am still doing bits and bobs in the background. I've already ran a couple of retreats for adults so far this year. So we'll have a few more of those coming up. Got a couple of birthday parties as well, some Forest School inspired birthday parties
Oh,
booked.
that's a
So I'm
great idea.
excited. Yeah. I did one for my son a couple of years ago, and it was lovely because I'm sick of taking them to all the indoor play centres
Yeah.
and trampoline parks and that. I wanted something a bit different, and it was it was lovely. It worked really well. So got a couple of birthday parties and just planning really for post September at the moment. So yeah, if you just keep Instagram's like the place where everything is most up to date. So I would say just have a look out on there to see what's coming up.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I'll share all of those links in the show notes. Best
Yeah,
of luck with
yeah,
the
it should be.
masters. I do know how much hard work that is, but yeah, it'll open up a lot more opportunities, hopefully, for where you want to take the business
Yeah,
by the end
yeah,
of it. Yeah, and
definitely. Yeah,
clearly you found your vocation as well.
yeah, I have. I love it. Absolutely love
Yeah.
it.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge, Nina, and coming onto the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today.
Oh, and you. Thank you very much, Annie.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for listening to today's Writing with Purpose podcast. Having conversations with fellow writers or adventure enthusiasts brings two of my biggest loves in life together, writing and nature connection. I've been a copywriter and content creator for 23 years, but my passion is writing for well-being, and I'm on a mission to share the benefits that putting pen to paper has for personal wellness with as many people as possible. If you want to learn more about writing for your well-being and journaling techniques, please connect with me in my Facebook group, Journaling with Anna.